How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Ayin Tes, Daf 79 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, what are we talking about? All right, I don't know. Yeah, but well, we're talking about stuff. We're going to start on Daf Ayin Tes Amud Aleph at the two dots, about 10 lines into the Amud Mocher Ashba Mocher Zvala v'chulei. So it says you sell a garbage, so it includes the garbage. Tananosim we learn in Me'ila. Anything that is fit for the altar in the holy temple and is not fit for the Bedek HaBayis, the temple treasury, things that could be used in building and the upkeep of the temple. So something that is fit for the altar but not for the upkeep. The Bedek HaBayis v'lo lemizbeach, or things that are fit for the Bedek HaBayis, for the temple upkeep but not for the altar. Lo lemizbeach v'lo Bedek HaBayis. Or if it is fit for neither the altar nor for the temple upkeep. So there is a din me'ila both on them and that which is in them. So now me'ila, of course, is when you get hanoya, when you get benefit from kodshim, from something that's holy. Okay, let's go back to Ketzad. How so? No, tell me more. So hikdish bor milea moyim. So if somebody's makdish a pit that's filled with water, now water is something that you can use in korban menachos. Okay. Ashvas milea zevel. Garbage is filled with garbage. So now that garbage, I guess, is not shaykh neither for the altar nor for the temple upkeep. Shovach milea yonim. A dovecote filled with doves. Well, doves can be offered as korbanis. So the milea asovim, filled with grass. These are things that are not used for either the altar nor for the temple upkeep. Ila nasui peris, a tree that has fruits on it. I believe also not usable for either one. Was there anything in the list that was usable for the Bedek HaBayis? I guess not. Did I make a mistake here? Oh, Maim is ruin levedek habayis. Lasus tit. Oh, v'lo lamizbech. Demayim mechunosin. Psul nisach hamayim. V'gayim ma'adichem basar b'konas elb me'amas hamayim shebazar. Yep, I made a mistake. Okay, so the water is not shaykh for the altar, meaning because even for menachos you wouldn't use it's mayim shuvin, but it's right for the Bedek HaBayis that you could mix it in with like cement or I don't know if it was cement. Cement probably wasn't invented back then, right? So I guess you mix it in to like make mortar or something. All right, fine. Excuse me. Okay, so there's a din me'ila on the thing and the thing that's in the thing, right? So for example, right, what were some examples that we had? A pit filled with water, a garbage filled with garbage, a dovecote filled with doves. So so if you're makdish all of those things, so you're makdish like the dovecote, so the dovecote is hakdish, but oichit the doves. So there's a din me'ila by the dovecote as well as the doves that are inside. Aval, but hikdish bor v'acharkach nismali moyim. But if you makdish the pit and then afterwards came the water, ashba v'acharkach nismal zevel, garbage and then a garbage can, and then only afterwards did it get filled up with the garbage. Shoivach v'acharkach nismal yonim, a dovecote, but at the time it was empty. The doves only came later. Elon v'acharkach noseperis, a barren tree, and the fruits only came afterwards. Sodav v'acharkach nismal asovim, an empty field, and only afterwards did it get filled up with grasses. So me'alin boyen ve'en me'alin b'ma shebesochen divrei Yehuda. So in such a case, there's a din me'ila by like the vessels, so to speak, by the garbage can, right? But not by that which comes eventually, right? There's a din me'ila by the pit, but not the water that came after the fact. Rabbi Yossi Yomer, but says Rabbi Yossi, hamakdish es asore v'esa'ilon, somebody who's makdish a field or a tree and then afterwards came the grass or the fruits respectively, well, me'alin boin uv gedulein, so then there is a din me'ilah even by that which comes later, right? The grass which later grows, right, which subsequently grows, or the fruits which subsequently fruit. So then in that case there would be a din me'ilah even by the grass and the fruit respectively. Because they're pashit growing from hektish. It's the hektish that's growing them, right? The field is growing the grass, and the field is hektish. The tree is growing the fruits, and the tree is hektish. Okay, gewaldig. Tani, we learn in the price. So Amr Rebbe says, Nirin div Rabbi Yehuda bibor, that it appears, the words of Rabbi Yehuda appear, I guess, to be the halacha when it comes to bibor v'shovach, when it comes to a pit as well as a dovecote. In both scenarios, if the water or the doves respectively come later, so then there's no din me'ilah by them, by the doves, by the water. There would be a din me'ilah by the pit itself and by the dovecote itself. And it would appear to be like Reb Yossi, and by a field and by a tree, that the grass and the fruits that grow subsequently respectively would have a din of me'ilah because they're gidulei hektish. Hi, my b'shlom nirin div Reb Yehuda bibor v'shovach. Okay, so I understand, right? So Rebbe's statement had two parts to it. Part number one, nirin div Reb Yehuda bibor v'shovach, and part two, v'div Reb Yossi b'sada v'ilon. So we want to say one second. I understand nirin div Reb Yehuda bibor v'shovach. So I understand when we say I understand Rebbe's statement that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, or that it appears to be like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to the pit and when it comes to the dovecote, meaning implying that Rabbi Yehuda says not just by the pit and the dovecote, but he would also say the truth is Rabbi Yehuda does also say by the field and by the trees that whatever comes subsequently, there's no din me'ilah, right? So we're saying the Be'etzim Rabbi Yehuda argues on everything, but we only agree. But Rebbe says the halacha is only like Rabbi Yehuda with regard to the pit and the what was the other example? The pit and the dovecote. But the halacha is not like him by the other part of his statement, which is by the field and by the tree. So Mechlad the Polygas Sada v'Ilan, right, implying that Rabbi Yehuda also argues when it comes to the Sada v'Ilan. But Ella Nirin Diver Rabbi Yossi b'Sada v'Ilan, but where it becomes, but I don't understand the second part of Rabbi's statement, which is, and it would appear that we hold like Rabbi Yossi when it comes to the field and the tree, implying that he also argues when it comes to the pit and the dovecote. We just don't paskin like him. Mechlad the Polyg b'Bor v'Shovach, implying that he does argue also when it comes to the pit and the dovecote to say that what comes later would have a din me'ilah. I hope I didn't confuse Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi at all. Rabbi Yehuda is basically saying in all the examples, whatever comes later, it has no din me'ilah. Rabbi Yossi says that when it comes to Sada and Ilan, there is a din me'ilah for what comes later. We want to say by the lashon of Rebbe, they say that, and it seems like Rabbi Yossi's opinion when it comes to the tree and the field, implying that Rabbi Yossi would also argue when it comes to the pit and the dovecote, but Rabbi Yossi Sada ve'ilan ka'amar. Rabbi Yossi is only talking about Sada ve'ilan, not Bor v'Shovach. And if you're going to say the Dvarav the Rabbi Yehuda ka'amar, well, maybe Rabbi Yossi is just getting into Rabbi Yehuda's head. And what he's saying is, look, Rabbi Yehuda, you're saying that the halacha is that what comes subsequently is not me'ilah by everything, including Sadeh ve'ilon. And Rabbi Yossi is saying, look, Rabbi Yehuda, you gotta at least admit to me that when it comes to Sadeh ve'ilon, the halacha is like me, that what comes subsequently. But V'atan, we learn in a Brayse, Rabbi Yossi says, Rabbi Yossi, Ein ani roe dvar Rabbi Yehuda b'Sadeh ve'ilon. that I don't, or it says Rabbi Yossi, I don't agree with what Rabbi Yehuda says when it comes to a field and a tree. So meaning Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to all of them. Meaning Rabbi Yehuda says that by all of them what comes subsequently is not Me'ilah. Rabbi Yossi is saying that when it comes to all of the things, what comes subsequently does have a din Me'ilah. And when he responds specifically by Sada Ve'ilan, he's saying, look, Rabbi Yehuda, at least admit to me by Sada Ve'ilan. But that's not the case. I'm going to back up a line again, because Vatani, we're learning about it. So Rabbi Yossi says, Rabbi Yossi, Ein ani roya divar shel Rabbi Yehuda b'Sada Ve'ilan, that I don't agree with Rabbi Yehuda by a field and by a tree, because by a tree and by a field it's Gedulei Hektish, and therefore what comes subsequently should have a Dim'ila, but B'Sada V'Ilanu de'eno roeh, ha'bibor v'shavach roeh, implying that Rabbi Yossi only disagrees when it comes to Sada V'ilan, but he would agree with Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to Bor v'shavach. Hachi ka'amar, this is what he's saying. Nirin divrei Rabbi Yehuda, so this is what Rabbi is saying. Nirin divrei Rabbi Yehuda li Rabbi Yossi bebor v'shavach, that Rabbi Yossi agrees with Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to a pit and a dovecote, that whatever comes subsequently, be it the water, be it the doves, would not have a din me'ilah. Shaf Rabbi Yossi lo nechlok olav ela b'sada v'ilan, because Rabbi Yossi only argues when it comes to sada v'ilan, abo avo bebor v'shavach modile, but he agrees with Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to the pit and the dovecote. Givaldik. When it comes to the field and when it comes to the tree, Rabbi Yossi would say that what comes subsequently would have a din me'ilah because it's gidulei hektish. Tanu Rabbanu, the rabbi said, hekdishon rekonin ve'achar kach nismalu. All right. So if says the Brisa, says the Tanakam in the Brisa, that if a person was makdish something and it was empty, ve'achar kach nismalu, and then afterwards it got filled up. So there's a din me'ilah for them, but not for that which filled it up subsequently. Okay, fine. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, there's even a din me'ilah by that which comes subsequently. Amar Rabbi says, Rabbi Machlokes b'Sada v'Ilan, we say that the Machlokes is by that the machlokes that we just mentioned in this brisa between the Tanakh and Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon is by a field and by a tree. So be'etzem, the machlokes between the Tanakh and Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon is be'etzem machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. That the Tanakh says there is no din me'ilah with things that come subsequently by Sada v'ilan, like Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon is saying like Rabbi Yossi that there is a din me'ilah. So Amar Rabba machlokes b'Sada v'ilan, the Tana Kama Savarla Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanakh holds like Rabbi Yehuda that there's no din me'ilah by what comes subsequently. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon Savarla like Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon holds like Rabbi Yossi that the grass and the fruits that come subsequently would have a din me'ilah because they're gidulei ektish aval b'bar v'shavach. When it comes to a pit and when it comes to a dovecote, divei akel me'alin boyin ve'em me'alin b'masha b'sochen. Everyone would agree. Tanakama, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, everyone would agree that by a pit and by a dovecote, there's a din by the pit and the dovecote, but not by the water or the doves that came subsequently. Abai says to Rabba, Velo Datani, but what about the fact that we, I think, go weiter in the Brisa, but we learn in the Brisa, Hekadeshin Milayin, if it's fakert, that he was mocked it, well, not fakert, but if he was mocked it when it was already filled up, Mayalin Boyd of Masha B'Seichon. So Tanakama says that then, if he was mocked it when it was already filled up, so there's a din me'ilah, not just by the vessel, let's say, but even that which is in it. But Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon Machlif, but Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, interestingly, has the opposite opinion now, which is that actually when it was already filled up, the din me'ilah does not apply to the contents. So if that's the case, v'besada v'ilan amay machlif. But if we're talking about a field or a tree, why would Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon all of a sudden say that if he was makdish a tree that has fruits on it, or a field that has grass on it, the grass and the fruits respectively would not have a din me'ila. Why would he say that? But if we say that the machloikes is by a bor v'shovach, by a pit and a dovecote, I can explain to you Rab Elazar Reb Shimon's opinion. I can explain to you that Rab Elazar Reb Shimon, why he says that by a pit, for example, if he's makdish it and then the water comes, so then there would be a din me'ila, not just for the pit, but also the water. Yet if he's makdish a pit that has water already in it, there's no din me'ila by the water. So Ella Amar Rabba rather says Rabba, Machlokes bebor v'shovach, that the machlokes is taka by the pit and the dovecote. Aval besod v'ilon, when it comes to the field and when it comes to the tree, Tivakol me'alim boinu v'masha besochon. Both Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon and the Tanakama would say that there is me'ila both by them and that which that which is in them or comes from. Okay. Uvebor v'shovach b'reikonin b'may plige uv'melein b'may plige. Okay. So now, what's pshat? So now we have to explain. So we're saying that when it comes to a pit that's empty and then gets filled up, so Tanakama says there's no din me'ila by the water. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says that there is a din me'ila by the water. And when you have a pit that's already filled up, Tanakama says that there is a din me'ila by the water. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says there's no din me'ila by the water. So why? So beplukta de Rab Meir v'Rabbanon. So where am I? So if v'shovach b'reikonin my plige, my plige, b'reikonin plige. So when it comes to a pit that is empty and then gets filled up, the Tanakama says that there's no din me'ila by the water, and Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says that there is a din me'ila by the water. Beplukta de Rab Meir v'Rabbanon. It's the machloikes between Rab Meir and the Rabbanon. The Tanakama is over the Rabbanon. That the Tanakama was like the Rabbanon. The Amri Eino the Makna of Shaloi Ba'Olam. A person cannot be maknish something that doesn't exist yet. How can he be maknish water that is not currently in the pit that is being maknish? For Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon Savak Rab Meir. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon also like Rab Meir. The Amr the Makna of Shaloi Ba'Olam. A person can be maknish something that doesn't yet exist, and therefore, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says, look, even though at the time that he's maknish the pit there isn't water. But when the water comes, there'll be a din me'ila. And with the Shabbos of Rab Meir, we've seen this before, that with the Shabbos of Rab Meir, also that when Rab Meir says, Makna Adam Dav Shloi Ba'Olam, Kigun Peris Dekel, for example, the dates in a date palm. Eventually they're gonna come. You know, I could sell you the in advance the dates that are going to grow on my palm tree, because the dates are going to grow on the palm tree, but there's no guarantee that water is going to go into a pit. Hanim Yemid also, who says the water is going to come? So why is Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon assuming so obviously, taking for granted that the water would be akdish, that it can be makdish davar shaloi ba'Olam? So Merav says, Rav Mishkachas lo b'moyim haboin derech chatzero lebor. Well, you could say, well, if you have a water that comes by way of his chotzer somehow, what does it mean by way of his chotzer? Where's the water source? I don't know, but somehow there is. Okay, he's gonna have water in his chotzer. I don't know why. He's gonna be doing stuff with water in his chotzer. I imagine it can rain, but if it's gonna rain, then why does he need the chotzer? I don't know, maybe he's doing laundry in his chotzer, he's doing all sorts of stuff in his chotzer, and then the chotzer, the courtyard is built on some kind of an angle so that it kind of drains into the pit. So in that case, you can assume that the water is going to come. Additionally, with the doves, even though the dovecote is empty now, but he's got another dovecote that's going to, I guess, get overfilled, and the doves memela are going to move into the new dovecote. So it's just, so eventually it will be filled up, and therefore, says Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, there's a din me'ila by the water or the doves that ultimately come. Uvimleim b'may plige. And how come Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says that when you're makdish a pit that's filled up, Why does Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon say that there's no din me'ila by the water? So Amar Rabba says, so it says Rabba, and it's a different case, it says Rabba. Kagon sheikdish bor stam. Well, what if he's makdish a bor stam? Oh, what's going on? Okay, just a message. Okay, I don't know. What? I don't know what this is. Somebody sent me a message on WhatsApp. I must be very popular while I'm recording Babylon Talmud. We're almost done over here. Amar Rabba, Kagon sheikdish bor stam. So if he's makdish a bor stam, the shaila is what's included in the what's included. Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Savla Kavua. And Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon holds like his father, as we learned recently. Rabbi Shimon holds mocher bain ro mocher like the Rabbanon, and he extends that to hektish as well. That makdish bain ro makdish. Damar donin din gavoya midin hektish hedgit. That Rabbi Shimon says that we can apply the same halacha of a regular scenario, such as selling a field, to being makdish a field. Madin hedgit matzi omerle beir zabinelach ma'ilo zabinelach. So just like by selling a pit, he could write mocher bain ro mocher. He says, look, I only sold you the pit, I didn't sell you the water. So abdin gavoya beir akdish ma'ilo akdish. So also when it comes to akdish, he says, yeah, look, I know the pit was filled with water, but I was only makdish the pit, not the water. The water is mine. If it didn't hedge it, low. But what? By regular sale of a pit, the water would be excluded. We learned in our Mishnah, mocher bor mocher meimav, that if you sell a pit, the water is included. On my Rav, it says of masnisin yichidahi, that our Mishnah is taka. An individual opinion, the Tanya is within the Brisa, mocher bor lo mocher meimav. According to Tanakama, mocher bor lo mocher meimav. It excludes the water. Reb Nosson Omer mocher bor mocher meimav, that if you sell a pit, it includes the water. So the Mishnah is dafka das yochid. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon is be'etzim holding like the Chachamim who say mocher bor lo mocher meimav. And what does the Rashbam say? Miu ilchzak masnisin. However, says the Rashbam, the last Rashbam on the Amud, one line into the Rashbam, miu hilchzak masnisin. Even though we're saying that the Mishnah is a das yochid, the halacha is like the Mishnah because kedama b'yivomis. Like we say in Yivomis, the stam b'masnisin u'machlokes b'braysa halacha kistam. That if you have a stam Mishnah and a machlokes and a braysa, the halacha is going to be like Rebbe made it in, wrote it in the Mishnah as a stam Mishnah. That's going to be the halacha. That if you sell a pit, it does include the water. Givaldik. That was the fine test of Masechet BavaBasra. Peace out.